Well, here we are with the final Q&A of the festival. It's been an awesome 6-7 days of movies. We ended with a great little segment there of short movies. Can you guys just introduce yourselves a little bit and let them know which project you were involved in?
I'm Thomas Harman and I'm the director of Riot in the Meadow.
My name's Ant and I was the music composer for Riot in the Meadow.
I'm Mathias Falcone and I'm the director for Sacrifice.
Awesome. First of all, Vicky Hawkins. What was the reasoning and why did you want to do a documentary about Vicky Hawkins?
Well, I was looking into making documentaries about into the arts at the time, and she struck me as someone. She's actually a neighbour of mine, and she struck me as someone that could make a great film. And I actually did a start show, and so it came back that way. It came back quite naturally, you know.
So more of you knew of her and you knew of her works and all that, and it was like let's make something about her. What's it about her story that you wanted to tell?
I wanted to tell like a snippet of her life, you know, get part of her life story out there. Because it was also for me, it was also about telling a story where we sort of break stereotypes, you know, about people from East London. Often we cast as, you know, gangsters and you know. So I wanted to break that mold a little bit and show someone, you know, who, you know, has had education and, you know, it's culture. So it was just about showcasing someone differently, and from telling the story of Vicky's life, it was you know, we were lucky enough to gain Roberta, because she was a friend of Taylor, and because she's an actress herself, and it just came back that was the way I wanted to tell her story. You know, it was about a dog, you know, the story about how a dog died and how that came to be, and then it fitted with Ali Walls, you know, the dressmaker, being part of that story and that narrative, and then that fitted in with the art show was going to be in Oxford House, so that was sort of that coming out.
And Mathias, a nice light-hearted story. Where did this come from and how long have you been looking for this story?
So, Sacrifice was written and it's also performed by Magdalena, my wife. She wrote the film during a very particular time of her life, and contrary to what it might look in the first place, the story came from wonderings and reflections about love and where love can lead you at certain points of life, and how it can transform when it comes to terms with certain situations, and this also merges into a lot of identity themes. This is where I kicked in, because in first place Magdalena was supposed to direct the film. She was also involved as writer, as a producer, as performer, and she needed someone trusted that could help her on the way. My personal interest lies in the discovery of identities. You know, nowadays it's kind of a key theme across, worldwide for multiple reasons. And I was attracted by the idea of investigating visually such a strong contrast of identities. Of course, the film leaves room to see, to experience, and to interpret the characters and the story in multiple ways. But the heart still lies in this very strong contrast between the identities of the two characters. And this is where I came in first place, and how I try to support pretty much the sentiment at heart of the story.
Yeah, and when you submitted the movie, you submitted a director's biography as well, and it was a really good read. I really liked reading that about how there was stories you wanted to tell, but where things were holding you back a little bit. With this being on the screen and looking as good as it does and amazing as it does, and what a job you have done, what other stories do you feel like you might have in you to tell us?
I mean, my background is, classic fiction filmmaking. So for me, I was thinking in terms of writing stories, creating characters for a long, long time. But recently, I also came to realize that there are already a lot of stories out there that don't really need to be invented in that sense. So I started more recently to capture, in documentary forms as well, stories of people that really deserve to be told because they have something to teach, they have the power to inspire others in that sense. I'm not looking for a very particular theme in my work, but what I think, the fil rouge, if I need to find one, if I need to call one out, I think it would be the research for truth in one person. So you have your own mission in life, and it's not really as easy to discover it or to know it or to find out at all times. And sometimes it takes a long, long time to come to terms to who you actually are in that sense. So this is what the characters in Sacrifice do. Probably they do that during a time that we don't get to see on screen, because that is really more the sort of final phase of their relationship. But what I was hoping to convey is obviously that past as well. It's not just about that present moment, but also what they have lived through, what they have experienced, and how this reflects and in the epiphany that we see on screen.
And how great is it to see it up on the big screen?
Awesome, amazing. It's the very first time I get to see it on screen, because we started to submit to festivals. Yeah, we started to submit during just before lockdown kicked in. So many festivals turned digital and so forth. We didn't really have the chance to get to. We did get into festivals, but we couldn't travel to see it. This didn't stop us to get here to Romford, which is great. So yeah, that was unique.
Awesome. As a composer, what is your role on the documentary? What's the collaboration process like with the director?
Well, the collaboration process starts by them asking for help, music-wise, but I'm basically, for this project, we're trying not to do too much, try to be very minimalistic, but just find that right sonic colors that could fill in the blank space, kind of create like this sonic blanket that supports the storytelling, the documentary.
Cool. Do you have any other sort of, this is for yourself, sorry. Do you have any other sort of London-based character stories that you want to tell?
Well, in the future, there'd be more stories, definitely. Even within my own family, actually some of my family are today, there's a story. There's the next documentary I want to make a documentary about my own family. It's a bit of a sad story, but it's a story that sort of needed to be told. And it's got, because I've got a load of pictures now, and I've got this. It's going to be very dark, but it's going to be more about death again. So it's just to cheer everyone up. But it's going to be, hopefully. But I will be honest, hopefully this will be another documentary, and hopefully I'll be able to make a drama as well at some point, because I used to do acting, so I can be at Harry's Stage Theatre and be a member of the West Midlands Technical Studio. So if I can get back, I will get back to doing that as well at some point. So, yeah.
We're going to open up for a couple of questions in a second, but what exactly do you guys have next going forward? You've shown these up on the festival circuit, everything looks amazing. What's the next project?
Well, for me, that would be the Death project, and I'll also, like I said, I'm looking into doing a drama, hopefully, that's going to, I want to break, I don't want to be slightly locked into one genre, even though I'm a documentary filmmaker at the moment. Hopefully, I'm going to make different films as I go along, so that's where I'm heading with it right now.
I think the most recent thing I'll be working on is music for a theatre production.
Cool.
My next project has already finished another festival run, so maybe lots of things happen in the meantime. But the next one is going to be a documentary, and that one I will be investigating on the identities of cultures, possibly related to music.
Just a quick one before I do put it out there. This is your first time seeing it on the big screen. Has your wife seen it on the big screen yet?
No, and she couldn't make it today, unfortunately. That's yeah, sadly, but I'm here. I will try to narrate the experience the best possible way. Hopefully it's going to work.
Just tell her you met me.
Exactly.
So, does anybody have any questions?
I had one, sorry. Just for Thomas and Mathias, both. Thomas, in particular, you've been here almost every day this week, watching all the films and everything. It's been fantastic, haven't you?
Thanks.
To all of you, actually, really, what is it? What's one thing you love most about film festivals in general?
For me, it's always finding the different films, the films that are alternative, you know, the films you're not going to find in the current mainstream, you know, especially in the current climate, I think, we're in, where a lot of films are being censored, and I think, you know, a lot of, especially a film festival like this that's exploring different ways. You've done a lot on mental health films as well this week, which have been very good. So for me, it's definitely about finding those, you know, different and experimental and and lots of alternative style films. So that's my opinion.
Yeah, for me, film festivals are the only place really where I can experience film the way I learned to experience it when I was young. I was a student. I used to go to the Venice Film Festival all the time, and I was spending there those 10 days, you know, for multiple years, just watching films. And that's where I learned to, when I kind of grasped for the first time, I think, the size of cinema in broader terms. And when I get, you get to talk to people, you get to talk about the movies you watch, but also think about your ideas and how they compare and so forth. And you become part of this world. You kind of merge with everything and everyone. And that's one thing that happens only when you are, in the dark room, in the cinema, and more specifically in a film festival, because that's when you are really shared to share what you've done and what you've seen and so forth with other authors as well.
Well, actually, I think that's all the time we do have. Do we have time for one more question, or?
So, what do you do to unwind once you've finished the film, and what do you do to celebrate?
Well, it's very mad. I probably usually watch more films, but probably be more relaxing films. But I watch different things, sport, just like that. I find different things, outlets to. I watch wrestling, so that's probably, watch the things that, so yeah, that's still different outlets.
I just straight up moved to the next project.
I take a 3-day straight sleep, and to me, the film finishes in several stages, to be honest. There is one time you finish editing, and that's it. There is a second time when you had the first screening, and that's live off. That's the first time it's out, so it's not only mine anymore, and so forth. So there are stages. This moment could actually be the actual final moment, because Romford was the last festival we submitted Sacrifice to. And so it's more about really, I'm a very meditative person, so I tend to sit down and wonder about things, and I start to think about remembering, the stages of the project, and thinking in relation to that, what's next, and and kind of enjoying this sort of shift into a new phase of life, because every project, takes you life for like a year, 2 years, no matter how long. So it's that's how I experience it, as a shift. There's nothing I can really do, I just go with the flow.
And with that, we will wrap it up there. Thank you so much for submitting the movies to the festival. Thank you for letting us show them, and thanks for being here to see them as well. That's been awesome. And we'll just leave it there. Does everybody want to give a big round of applause?